But with that being said, the thing I just want to let the public know is that there are leash laws for cats, believe it or not, according to ordinances, and also that there is a 3-cat minimum, just like there are for dogs, and also that people should vaccinate their cats also. Thanks.
Say, Councilor Herrick, did you mean a 3-cat maximum?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you said 3-cat minimum, and I would say many people
I say
probably...
minimum?
Yes, you did.
Maximum. Maximum.
I think many people would fall under that.
Well, Terry, too, as I looked in the, as far as dog licenses, it said $75 for a dog license. That's not true, is it?
No, I think it's $750 for a neutered or...
Well, that's what I said, but I think on the website I did read $75, so.
Okay, we'll take a look at that.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Looking for a motion to approve then 6.7, number 2. Oh, Bob, did you want to speak?
Yeah, just a little piece of information for the public also. The feral cats that are running around the city carry a lot of disease. And then when they come in your yard and go to the bathroom or whatever they do there, they can pass those diseases on to your cats. So, you have to be sure that you do get your cats vaccinated and taken care of. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted money raised for that was to inform public and educate the public about the proper care and taking good care of animals, because having animals is a big responsibility, and I'd just like to make sure that people do take good care of their animals. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else that wanted to comment on 6.7, number 2? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Move for approval of 6.7.2.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve 6.7, number 2. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item 7.1, Finance Director Vito is recommending to approve the amended Nemadji Golf Course Management Operating Agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion on 7.1? Councilor Sweeney?
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, more for my information. My first question is, this lease goes back to 1/1, correct?
Have to ask Dan.
No,
Correct.
correct. And we're negotiating it now in May.
Correct.
Is that a little unusual?
Trying to think of when last year, when it was redone, was in April.
Oh.
So,
So it's not unusual.
correct.
Okay, all right. In our notes on page 66, it states that the weather and the economy were the two factors that contributed to the decline in revenue. But when Mr. Carlson was at the finance meeting, he said that weather wasn't a factor, because last year there was a decline in revenue, and yet last year was probably the best year we ever had for a long time. So I don't think it was necessarily the weather. He stated that he felt it was the economy and competition, if I'm accurate there. And then my last comment is, if we exceed the 1.6 million in revenue for the minimum payment, when does the additional revenue become due to the city? Say we go 1.7, so that 100,000 at 5%, when would that be due to the city?
I guess I would look at that at the end of the year, once his final operations are all.
So you have an end of the
books are
year
closed.
final.
That would be our time to catch up and adjust everything.
Okay,
Once the
so
year
that.
is- Once the year is complete.
Okay, so that's when it's done then. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on 7.1? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Item 7.2, Fire Chief Panger is recommending to award the bid for the fire department turnout gear to Safety First Inc. for $32,740.
Motion to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or any questions? We do have the fire chief here if you had any questions. Hearing none and seeing none, all in favor of 7.2, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
7.3, Planning Director Cirque is requesting permission for pertinent city officials to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with the Canadian Pacific Railroad in the amount of $195,707 for 3.51 acres in the area of North 12th Street and Poplar and Spruce Avenues for the purpose of constructing a stormwater retention system.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilor Brown?
Yeah, I was just wondering, do you think that price is a little high? I'm not sure if that's a wetland area or,
It actually isn't a wetland area. We started at about $1.50, Bob. We looked around other parts of town and other areas that we've purchased, other properties that we've sold in manufacturing type of districts like that, and that ranged from about $1.25 a square foot to $1.50 a square foot. We negotiated $1.36 a square foot, so it's about roughly in the ballpark.
okay. I don't know, I think it's high.
Well, essentially the way sometimes these things work is when you want to buy something from the railroad, you go by some of their rules, and these rules, even though I think we got a pretty fair price on this, I would agree that it's a little high, but there was no other budging, and we weren't going to get them down to the $1.25 that I wanted. So
We'll put that in storage and remember.
we hope so.
Councilor Olson?
Just a clarification here in the memorandum. It says for the plan to 2015 Belknap, isn't that 2016?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Herrick?
Yeah, Jason, just a couple questions. One, is that site, will that site or has the site been approved by DNR to do what we need to do with it?
Steve is here to kind of answer some of those questions from ESD. I know there's been some preliminary talks with not only some of our regulatory agencies, but our engineer and that sort of thing. So, Steve?
It's still in the planning stages right now, so it has not been formally approved. We don't have a fully developed set of plans for that area. Jason had mentioned that it is not a wetland area, which is one of the typical things that we run into with the stormwater sites, and this site being a drier site is advantageous compared to all the other previous sites we've had. So I don't anticipate problems with the DNR having that site approved for a wet detention basin, but it's a little bit too far out in the process, or it's too early in the process, depending on how you're looking at it, to have a formal approval. We don't have a plan fully detailing what we will do.
I mean, could we get the DNR to do some approval on that before we even think of looking at that, or for that particular project? Or?
Realistically, we have to have a plan in place, so we have to have detailed plans drawn up for the project before that they would approve a site for us to put in a BMP. And in this case, we know that there's going to be some projects coming with Belknap down the road, and we're also looking at some potential grant projects or grant applications between now and then. And so owning the property now gives us a lot of advantage in applying for those types of projects or those types of grants. And so it's in our best interest, in my opinion, to acquire the property as soon as we can, so we don't miss out on some of those opportunities.
Okay, thank you. And then my next question is, as far as, have we tested for contaminants on that site?
We have not yet done that testing as well. In the agreement, I think it's section 17, it allows us to undertake some of that testing. And we have, under the Central Business District storm sewer alternative projects that SEH is working on, we've amended that contract to include a Phase 1 environmental site assessment. And that work gets underway after we sort of enter into the first part of the agreement.
Okay, so if you enter into that first part agreement and there is contaminants on it, we're not bound by that, or?
I'd turn that over to Jason.
It would kind of depend on essentially what kind of contaminants there are and what, we're going to be digging a hole more or less. So we're going to be probably excavating a lot of that material out of there anyway. So it's probably going to fit within the project. A lot of times those contaminants are at a level where a project like this is fine. We just wouldn't be building a house on it. So from that standpoint, I'm not too concerned about that.
Okay, then if there are contaminants, is there a disposal fee?
Sure. Kind of depends on what they would be. We're able to landfill some of that that we can use for cover or whatever. But yeah, there may be some. I'm not really looking, when I kind of preliminarily looked at this property from a contamination standpoint, it's not red flagging anywhere on at least some of the background stuff that I've done. So,
All right, thank you.
yep.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yeah, I guess I was just curious, Jason or Steve, how you got any railroad to sell 3.5 acres anywhere.
We offered to buy the whole thing. That's why. I mean, if it was going to be a piecemeal type of deal, I think, Mick, like we were dealing with on some of that other stuff, they wouldn't have looked at us. We pushed them pretty hard on this piece of property. Another thing I wanted to mention, too, is they've had other inquiries about this property from surrounding property owners. So this is something we've kind of got to get on a little bit, particularly when Steve and his group are, kind of looking at the models and knowing that this is going to be a benefit to some of our issues in that central business district. So it's taken a little time, as it always does, but hopefully we'll get through it. The next, we're already planning for looking at some other areas that will control some of this, and one of them is maybe a combined use. We got to figure out how we're going to come up with the cash to do it, but it's that site between 21st and Belknap, which has some contamination issues. It's big. But it also, from Steve's standpoint, it's a pretty inviting site for some retention system, but also a pretty inviting site to the tax base as well, because we may be able to do some other things with that.
That's CPRS as well, isn't it?
Right.
Property.
Right.
And I think the other factor, like Bob is concerned about, I think the $196,000 helped sway him a little bit too, huh?
Well, I think so, and essentially we had negotiated, kind of a funny story, we negotiated a smaller price, but when I had it surveyed, it actually came with more land, so that's why the price ended up going up a little bit. So that actually was a good move, I think, on our part to get that survey to get a little bit more property.
And one last thing, who are the other pertinent city officials besides you, Steve, and Jason?
More or less Gene and the mayor and Terry. So it just gives us the just the okay to go ahead with continuing with the process.
Okay. All right. Good.
$63,201.25.
So that is just for 7.5A?
No, for all of them.
Oh, for all of them. Okay, so it's been moved and approved And it's moved and seconded, I'm sorry. No, I'm looking at my notes here, because one is to refer and the other two are to refer, are to approve. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to approve parts A and C and to refer part B. Any comments on that? Counselor Fennessy?
I just got one question on the special circumstances, and maybe it's in here, but I didn't see it. When would that come back to the council for another look at? Is that
Well,
a year from now?
you're waiving the 150 hours of operation immediately prior to the expiration date, because all three of these are currently in construction remodel. So once we received the building and fire and health approval, then we would issue the license.
Okay, then that jumps right into, okay, that answers that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor of 7.5, as I've tried to say it 3 times, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item 9, business by counselors. Youth Counselor Cadet would like to say a few words.
Hello. As most of you know, Mike and I, we attend Spear High School, and a couple of weeks ago, Bud Grant came to our school, and he is in the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame, and he came back to the high school just to talk about his memories, because he is from Superior, and he grew up in Superior, and went to Superior Central High School, and graduated from there. And he just talked a lot about his memories in Superior and how those affected his life choices, and just in a positive way how those memories from Superior and playing in the high school football team helped him through his life. And the Hall of Fame representative that was with him also talked about how Superior is the only city in the whole U.S. to have 3 NFL Hall of Famers originate from Superior, and no other city in the U.S. has had that. So I thought that was a pretty cool achievement for Superior to have, and overall, this was a positive effect on our high school as a whole, and just showing us how big things can happen out of a relatively small city. And I'd also like to take this time to thank the council and everyone for letting Mike and I serve and represent the youth. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you for being willing to serve. And of course, when we think about Bud Grant, we think about who do we know that was famous in the NFL? Well, it's Bud Grant, and lots of interesting things about Bud Grant. He was a pro basketball player. He coached in Canada before he came here, and he still lives in Gordon, I believe. So, right. So anyway, that's enough about Bud Grant. We'll move on.
Counselor Olson.
Yeah, Bud Grant was a good guy, Mick. Coached a fantastic football team. Anyway, I just want to take a minute. We are having our meeting out at Bryant School Thursday night to discuss some of the issues that we're going to put forth for making Tower Avenue a little safer out there. The MIC, Metropolitan Interstate Council, will be there. Police Chief Legess has indicated he's going to be there. I want to invite all of you, especially people that use that road. Dan, coming in and out of town, we've got some changes that we think are going to be good for the community, and it's step 1 of probably 3 that we're looking at. So I encourage everybody to, if they can, come to Bryant School Thursday night from 6 to 8. We'll have some conceptual drawings of what we want to do, and discussion on from the residents, and see where we can move forward with that to make that a little safer out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McKenzie?
Yeah, August, let me know if Councilor Olson gives you that $20 for talking about Bud Grant.
I think he's already shared half of it with Nowicki. So, okay, now let's go on.
Item 10.1 is the resolution of the Common Council authorizing the transfer of property located on Tower Avenue between North 6th and 7th Streets to the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Superior. And Planner Cirque handed out an aerial view of that lot today also.
It's been moved and seconded for, to approve 10.1. Any comments, questions? Counselor Herrick?
Current plans for this parcel?
Next month, we'll be bringing a license agreement to you with Chippewa Concrete. They're going to be using this property, and actually it's going to go to Redevelopment Authority, but you'll get ultimate approval on it, to use this property for their concrete plant as well as some aggregate storage. They're also going to be storing some supplies and the like on 8th and Tower as well. We will be getting some alley work out of some of that storage for the summertime, which is kind of nice. And it also, in the future, will save us a step. It's kind of been amazing. I was telling some folks this morning that we're getting some interest with this new road in some of this property. So we might be, to get it over to the Redevelopment Authority, we can get that done and then just start negotiating right away before having to come here as well. So we'll be presenting that license agreement to you next month.
All right, thank you.
Counselor Brown?
We'll try to be a little proactive there. When they do their crushing and stuff like that over there, we've encountered a few problems. The residents over on Catland Avenue in the neighborhoods over there with re-crushing of the concrete that, coming off of Tower Avenue and stuff like that. There's been a lot of dust blowing around, but I think we've got that issue resolved, and they're going to start watering and putting some chloride on the roads from the truck traffic. So if you could make sure that this company, when they're going to start their crushing operation over there, that they, have a watering system in place and keep the dust down.
Counselor Todd, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they're going to be doing any crushing there. I think they're going to be bringing in aggregate. They won't be doing it. They'll be doing mixing, but no crushing, Bob. We didn't really want any crushing down on Tower Avenue at all. So I do believe, that doesn't mean that there's not going to be any dust, but we'll make sure that we keep an eye on that. But I do not believe at this point they're going to be doing any crushing.
Okay.
Counselor Olson?
Good point, though.
That's scheduled to be their batch plant for the concrete.
Exactly.
So you will have
There'll be
some dust from the lime and the Portland.
Yep.
Any other comments on 10.1? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Any business
No,
by
we
public?
have no business.
No business by public. Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye.